Hi guys, welcome back to another episode of Soulful Feast, bite-sized information to nourish your body, mind, and spirit. I'm your host, Stephanie Zubiri, and I am so very excited to have this super special guest with us here today. But before that, in case you're new to the podcast, don't forget, please subscribe to it. We have some great stuff. Look at the past episodes. And of course, share with your friends. And don't forget to rate us if you enjoyed this. Now, today, we are going to be talking all about our soul destiny. Oh my gosh, what kind of topic is that? That sounds so deep and so daunting, but we have someone here who can break it down for us and how to help us align with our soul destiny. How do we find it? What is our greatest purpose here on this planet and particularly in this lifetime? Here we have today the founder of Great Women Echo Store. She is an artist, astrologer, a life counselor, and reads people's soul destiny, Jeannie Javelosa. Hi, Jeannie.
Hi, Stephanie.
Oh my gosh, I'm so happy to have you
I
here.
know, since we went to Manahaw, it was great to have this kind of a talk, especially for people who try to understand what spirit is in their daily lives.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people out there, whether they are, let's say, beginning their lives, they might be finishing college and entering the workforce, having their Saturn return in their 30s, or even a lot of moms like me in their 40s and their midlife when their kids are getting older, trying to figure out, what am I supposed to be doing here, right?
Exactly. And that's the reason why I said a topic like soul destiny is very unique when people want to say, it's not about just who am I, but who am I really? And what am I
Yes.
doing now in this period of man's evolution? That's pretty deep, right? But let's break it
Absolutely.
down.
Wait, so
Yeah.
tell us how do you read someone's soul destiny?
Okay, so I begin with a birth chart. So it's based on astrology, no? But I'd really like to say I'm more intuitive because I've been doing this almost close to 40 years.
Yes.
I started very young, actually. I used to do tarots and card readings. I used to see souls of dead people, and I didn't want to be a channel.
Yeah.
It was a little crazy,
A woman
right?
of my own heart. I hear them, but I don't want to see them. So
Nobody
wag kayo
wants,
magpakita.
nobody wants to believe us like this, right?
Yeah.
And so what happened there was all these things were happening in the side. And I said, people are not going to understand me if I didn't work the world. And so I
Yes.
said I needed to succeed in the world. And that's why there's a bit of a split when you say, what are you? You're an entrepreneur, who does a lot of social impact work. And there's also astrology and all these artists. So there's a lot. People get confused what I do. But you see, the secret was because there was a gift inside. And I would see things, I would hear things. I needed to have a specific technology.
Yeah.
And so I chose the birth chart. And I didn't even study astrology. It just kind of, read a few books and then it just kind of came. And soon I was reading Friends, very young on.
Yeah.
And I would hear. So I
Yeah.
would speak. And to a point, I get so upset for in any party gathering, I couldn't even enjoy because everybody just wanted to have themselves read. And I was getting upset. So I said, wait, I have to organize this. And I started to do it in a way professionally, starting with
Yeah.
50 pesos because
Oh my God!
Because-
Sulit na yon for
No,
my
no,
soul
this-
destiny at 50 pesos.
This was before because friends were saying, Jen, you gotta charge because we're bringing people. And I
Yes.
said, yeah, but I can't. But then suddenly it became counseling, right? And soon it was a whole process that I've been doing this for 40 years.
Amazing.
Internationally, right?
Yeah.
And I never planned to do this. I was doing Zoom before
So
COVID.
that's
Yeah.
your soul destiny.
That's my soul destiny.
I love
Yeah.
it because I love what you said, and I always want to reiterate this to the audience out there. It's about integration, also, right?
Yes.
So when I started my own spiritual awakening, I actually felt so detached from the real world and kind of floating, almost like an alien. What is
I
happening
hear
to me?
you.
What is all of this? And then it's only when I really started to get comfortable with it and comfortable with my own power and gifts.
That's right.
Then I could integrate it to my work, to my everyday life, and all
But let's
of that.
add something to integration because integration means inner and outer work, right?
Yes.
So you have an inner life, you must have an inner life, then an outer life that expresses that in its fullness. So you integrate. But that integration now brings wholeness. It must.
Absolutely.
Because you might integrate, but you're not whole.
Yeah.
That's very weird. But you integrate and you become whole. then you develop. So there's a
Yeah.
developmental phase in life,
Absolutely.
which is why I love the astrology chart, the natal chart, from where I guide people because it shows you your unique DNA.
Yes.
Right? And that's where all these frequency talks are about because even before we were born, in that space between lives, when we said we were going to come down again and do karma and finish karma, meaning finish unfinished relationships, issues, work, to create new dharma, good stuff, the
Yes.
good stuff we move forward with. So after that, you want to be able to come down here and you chose the frequencies. You
Yes.
wanted to choose a specific time, place, and a birth period so that you can create all these energies within your DNA.
Yeah.
And your DNA creates you. So when you were born, the personality of Stephanie, of Jenny, it comes out here now. And you work with the frequency, the map
Of course.
and the combination that we each have.
So I have a question, a little bit of devil's advocate, because in the past, when I was, I would say, my unconscious self,
Yes,
no,
unawakened.
unawakened, yeah, asleep.
Yeah.
Parang I would get, although I was always very sensitive, I would actually shy away from these things because I felt like I had no control. Everything's written in stone, which a lot of people also feel like, ano yan, that's it's already written out. I have no choices. But I feel like that's not true.
It's not
really
true.
all about how you work with the different energies and frequencies of the collective, but also within you and offered
That's
to
why
you.
inside and outside,
Yeah.
always, before you even know anything, you have to know yourself. The oracle at Delphi had only two words. It says, know yourself. Without that power and mastery inside, you cannot master the world.
Absolutely.
Even if you try to go out in the world and do everything, but if you're so broken inside, if you cannot find your own inner space, your own sense of comfort in who you are, and to be able to read and manipulate your own energies, you cannot manifest.
Yeah.
That is the real secret. And that's the reason why I say begin with your own chart.
Absolutely.
Because you can try to follow another, be envious of another, but there's no way. Not even twins. I've had twins in reading charts, and no matter what, each soul is so unique, and they take a vehicle of themselves, which is so unique that even if you try to be twins that you were born at 1 second or 2 seconds after, there is free will within a destiny path. No? So I say I just basically read the whole map, right? But you
Yeah.
choose what to do. If I say, oh, here we are in the rainforest, over there's a cave, over there's a waterfall, I read you the map, including even the weather. It might rain, but you make a choice.
Yes.
You'll say, when will you go? Who will you go with? How long will I stay in
Or
the cave?
sometimes you choose
Right?
not to go.
You can't. You have to because it's actually the fact you were born here.
Yeah, but some
it's
people
a plan.
di ba may tao na sa stuck then.
They're stuck only for a period in life, and then
Ah.
pain is going to bring them out of it. I would like to say we grow either through wisdom or through pain.
Yeah.
And that's the reason why I went into my spiritual journey when I said, I don't want to feel this anymore. This is crazy, the pain. I said, stop. And it flipped. I said, I was going to learn it.
Yeah.
And you learn the energies, you learn what pain is, you move through it, and that's in a way why I'm very, I'm a certified yoga teacher. I teach pranayama, meditation. I have a practice. So this practice began to be another technology.
Absolutely.
So you have your map. Where will I go? How will I go?
And what's
is
the
a new
vehicle?
technology.
Yeah. So
right?
honestly, just sidebar before we get into like some practical stuff that you guys can like really dive deep for you. Even for me, I really found that the breath work
Yes.
is really the best way to shift those energies inside, especially the energies that affect you. Let me give you guys an example. There was a time where I think Mars was in retrograde, and in my chart was very fiery for me in my chart, which would come out as aggression.
Yes.
But with certain breath work, I was doing a lot of warrior breath, the Anjana warrior breath, channeling that. Instead of aggression, it became focus,
Right.
determination. So you can, that's what I love so much, is actually using also astrology as a tool to understand, like what's the weather today? Do I bring an umbrella?
That's
Do I
right.
choose to go out? Do I stay home? What is happening now? And how can I use it actually to empower myself to the better good, right? So ever since I shift my perspective on astrology, that's not the end all be all. I
No,
have
it's
the
not.
power to change.
It's just
You know?
one of the
Yeah.
technologies. It gives you the map. And I think what's important is people begin to understand that astrology isn't just woo woo. It's a science.
Yes.
It's been there since the Chaldeans, since the age of antiquity. It's been used by everybody. It includes to be used by everybody who wants either awareness, direction, self mastery, and power. It's all there. It's a
Yeah.
power tool, and that's what I've seen, no, in all my readings, male, female, trans, name it, husband, wife, the other one, the children, the issues of karma. It's unbelievable how each and every time I sit with a person, each one is so unique. And you have the free will choice. That's what I'm saying. So, what is the takeaway? Is that you need to know your chart, and it's not horoscope. Okay, it's not
Yes.
horoscope. So, if you're reading the magazine,
It's
you might
not
be
anymore
reading
that, like, you
wrong.
know, Cosmo magazine
No,
and the
no.
end.
Actually, you can use that if you know your rising sign.
Yeah.
Because horoscopes are plotted depending on the time of birth and your rising sign.
Correct.
So if you don't know that, you're reading it wrong.
Correct.
Again, you can't just say, I'm a Libra, you're a Virgo.
No,
You
so
can't.
nuanced talaga.
Nuanced. Because there are planets in all the positions, and the planets are the impulse. They take a specific frequency in a
Yes.
sign, which is a style. So if you have Mars in Aries and I have a Mars in Leo, our energies, though similar, because Aries and Leo are fire.
I have a Mars and Aries.
Oh, you see, I read you
Yeah.
already.
That's exactly it. I had
So,
Mars and Aries.
And that is why you're so hectic now, because it's retrograded, and now you have Venus retrograding in Aries. So you can imagine how hectic you are inside. But let's not go that way.
Yeah. Okay. Wait lang. Yes. Dami pala. Oh my gosh. This can be like a black hole of discussions here. So let's bring it back to you, our audience. No. I always
Yeah.
like to see, if someone's listening here. Number one, what's our first step in trying to understand our soul destiny?
First and foremost, get a map. Get your birth time, year, and place. Have a chart made, have a reading. And then you can study from then on. In the chart, you will see cycles. Any age divisible by 7 is a point of crisis or change. So whether you are a mom at 21 or a mom at 49 or a 42, issues will shift no matter what. And once you understand the cycles, power is given, right?
Yes.
There are cycles within that area that give you periods when it's joyfully expansive versus the constricting discipline of pain.
Yes.
And that's always together,
Yes.
the expansion and the restriction. So the duality of life
Yeah.
is a play of your chart. You have to know your chart because
Yeah.
that's your power tool.
Because
right?
honestly, I'll tell you what, guys, sidebar, when I had my chart read, but Vedic astrology naman,
Yes.
and very, very refined reading of Vedic astrology. So Sarah Black, who was my mentor in breathwork and yoga, she read my Vedic astrology chart, and to the day, to the year, guys, to
Yes.
the year of like my biggest turning points in life.
Yes.
This is the year I graduated college, moved to France. This is the year I got married the first time. This is the year I got divorced the first time. This is the year I got married again. I had babies. Every single year.
Because it shows it in the
Yeah.
map.
And she didn't even say, she
Yeah.
was like, I want this to be as intuitive as possible for you. She didn't even tell me what happened those years. She just gave me all these dates. These were significant dates in your
Mm.
life. And I said, the birthdays of my kids, the whatever.
That's
like
why
that.
it's a science.
It's crazy.
It's a
crazy.
science.
Yes, absolutely.
Like-
And now, instead of approaching that with fear, you can approach that with power. Because then
Exactly.
you're saying, okay, you're entering. So right now, I'm Jupiter Dasha, but sub Saturn Dasha. So there's a lot of growth and expansion, but in the inner world, there's also like pain and a lot of learning, right? So Saturn is the planet of learning, but Jupiter's the planet of expansion.
expansion.
So in the business wise, in my work, there's a lot of growth, but also in my personal life, particularly related to my parents and their aging process, there's a lot of internal grief also, right?
That's right, yeah.
And again, being able to be armed with that and to know that, okay, I need these types of practices to clear my heart chakra for grief. I need these types of practices to ground when I'm feeling like I'm growing and moving. So I'm not hingal. I'm not hingal anymore, or I'm not left lost because I'm aware.
Or left desperate,
Yeah.
right? Because you become your own master. Your practice becomes studying yourself in whichever technology you choose. So whether you know your map, first you have to know your map. Because if you don't know your map, where are you going to go, right? You're going to follow this person, follow what this teacher says. Know your
Yeah.
map. Then you'll feel which one is right for you. And we've had practices from pranayama, yogic practices, qigong, all of these things that have guided and
Yeah.
aided the physical body, the astral body, and the emotional, mental, and the spiritual body. 5 koshas in yoga. We work all of this. Within the map, we work this expansion. We understand the way the map is going. This will also change and shift by the nature of we are not really physical. We
Yeah.
are spirit more than anything.
Absolutely.
And until we capture this, we will not understand our power. Because no matter what are the awards given to you, and I've been there, done that. That's why I'm saying when you have the inner work, the outside mastery of the world will come. So when you see yourself as a mother, you're just as good as a professional. You're just as good as a healer. Because then you play your chart when you know your chart. So when you know it, you also know, that's really not my strength over there. Maybe I'll find people who can be with me
Yeah.
to aid me, to become
complement
stronger,
you.
complement me. And I know my weaknesses, my powers, and that becomes a real power tool.
Yeah.
Which is why I always tell people, yeah, okay, so you're going through this divorce, you're going through this breakup, but before we dive into that little petty issue in your life, can you just see where you're coming from and where you're going? Because the whole storyline is there. It's your call at the end. It's your call.
so crazy. So 3 years ago is when I had my chart read. And then she said there are 2 places where you will really excel. One is, again, communication,
Yes.
media broadcasting. I also have a lot of like nurturing. So like my mother house, that's like a big part of me. Then she goes, but you will really excel once you dive into spirituality. And I was like, huh? What do you mean? Like spirituality? At that time, I wasn't hosting workshops. I was on my own journey, on my
Yes.
own.
Which is always how it begins.
Yeah, exactly.
Always
on my
how it
own
begins,
healing
yes.
journey. I was mentoring with her, but for my own practice,
Yes.
I never thought. And then bigla lang, get this, Lionsgate 88 in August of 2022, I think, or 20, yeah. Parang something clicked, and then I had this opportunity to co-host a retreat. And then from there, and I totally forgot about this reading until recently. She was like, oh, remember that reading?
Yeah.
You're really in. I said, if someone when she told me that you will go into the path of spirituality, I just finished hosting my first retreat in Vietnam, and it was so special. And I really feel I found my soul destiny. It was a culmination, Jeannie, of everything that I had ever learned before. Like, my love for travel and travel writing, planning the hotels, the excursions, the trips, the itinerary. My love for cooking and catering, because I was planning all the meals, all the events, and then holding space for people. Parang I cried when I was in the temple because I said, this is the culmination of all my work.
This is
Without even
rather
knowing.
than the culmination, it's the beginning.
It's true.
So when
Yeah.
you look at your life and you see points where you feel it's lacking, you're still in the journey. Until at some point you kind of get yourself together and you know, I'm right, I'm whole.
Yeah.
And soon, because of that wholeness, you will manifest what's meant to be done in this life.
It's amazing.
But I'm always saying to people, if you catch yourself earlier on with a map, fantastic. I've had people since
Yeah.
16. And when they understand where they're going, it's a great way to be able to create power women. Number one, I love the fact that you mentor and create power women just by triggering
Yes.
certain knowledge inside them and say,
Yeah.
stop looking there, look this way, wake up, wake up, wake up, look this way, wake up.
Yes.
But here you see now, the world is forcing us to wake up.
Yeah. So let's talk
Whether or
about
not
that.
you like it or not, we're forced to wake up.
Okay, so 2 things that I want to pick up on that you just said. Number one, empowering other women, because I think women more than men tend to be forced in a box because of society, because of choices, our ancestral heritage, blah, blah, blah. We don't need to dive deep into it. And so there's really a need for women to wake up. And it's nice to see more and more women feel empowered to do that. So I love that. And second, the age of Aquarius. You said we are being forced to wake ourselves up. If you guys are kind of like me, and I guess if you're listening to this podcast, you probably are into the woo-woo stuff. You've heard this being thrown around. We are entering or have entered the age of Aquarius. What is that?
You know the song, before I answer that, the song that came out in the 70s with the Broadway musical Hair.
Yeah.
When the moon is in the seventh house and Jupiter aligns with Mars, and love will rule the planet and light the stars. This is the dawning of the age of Aquarius. That's so astrology, okay? When the moon, our hidden dreams and longings, go to the seventh house of Libra, partnerships, harmony, and balance. When what we long for as a collective move into that which is harmony and balance. When the moon is in the seventh house and Jupiter aligns with Mars, Jupiter is a planet of spirituality, of expansion, of joy. When it aligns with the angry Martian planet, bigger planets overrule. So then spirituality comes over fear, war, anger, right? Jupiter aligns with Mars. Then love will rule the planet and light the stars. And the dawning of the age of Aquarius is precisely this new epoch. It's going to be, we just began it actually seriously, technically last year, when Pluto moved into Aquarius. And this whole period is about the feeling of a collective consciousness on a new level that brings together both religion and spirituality and science together. So the whole combination of the dualities in the next level is all about the age of Aquarius. It's collective decision-making, the power to the people, the directions of looking at what is really good for the planet, the age of technology, the age where we become, in a way, I don't want to say transhumanism, because that's one angle of where the whole polarity is happening, where you have technology changing us, and maybe parts of us will become more and more technologically created, right? With even our brain, no? But there's the other side where spirituality and clarity of the other dimensions, of frequency being used, of the cosmos being beyond our little planet Earth, of our whole consciousness stuck in this little area which we call planet Earth, and understand we are part of a much bigger cycle, much bigger universe, and a much bigger cosmos. So this period now, we will not even see, we will not even be able to understand where we're going. And this is going to go so fast in these 2 years, will be the bumpiest period, because people will be shaken.
Yeah.
And just open your gadgets, right? I open it and I see I say, okay, that's happening over there in that little dimension. I got to get out of it because there's war. They haven't stopped in that space. Alternatively, another reality is all about these people, the greed. Another alternative reality, you want to go for luxury travel, you have all these different realities that are all as valid because they are part of our consciousness, trying to make sense of these frequencies that are everywhere. Yeah. So you have dimension shifting right now.
Yes.
And that is why we are caught up, either we're depressed today, we're creative tomorrow, we don't know what we're going to do, we know what we're going to do. It's suddenly this whole world opens up, and it's like a jet plane going through turbulence. Okay, this is the period for the next 2 years. A jet plane going on turbulence. What do?
Buckle your seat belt.
Buckle your seat. And that means when you say buckle your seat, go inside to who you really are. That's your buckling of your seat. What are you rooted in? Take control of the breath. That's the most basic thing, because your parasympathetic system begins to awaken when you soften the breath. Delete yourself from areas and worlds where you are stressed. People who stress you, who bring you out, who bring out your shadows, who bring out all the stuff that you really hate. Allow it to come out, work it, but move away from such people.
It's definitely time for shedding.
That's the word.
It's
Separation.
Yeah, just honoring their presence. It's not right nor wrong.
Yes.
You're just operating at different frequencies and you can pull away. Yeah.
When we say frequencies, that's such our world, right?
Yeah.
But when you go out there into the business world where we are in, you really see a clarity for those people who have just as an objective just power, as an objective money, as an
Yeah.
objective their ego, personality. There's no judgment to this because it is the way God created everybody, as diverse in their unique spaces, whether asleep or awake. Hopefully awake. And that's why this turbulence is like, if you're in an airplane, right, you're reading quietly, you're going to get to your destination. Suddenly, buckle your seat, get into yourself, right?
Yeah.
Begin to breath because suddenly, you're having this turbulence.
When you were saying all of that, I was really getting goosebumps and like downloads, and you can really see it happening even just, going a bit nerdy here, guys. If you just take a look at what's happening in the US and in North
Everywhere.
America and in Europe,
Everywhere.
there's really a whole new world order politically that's happening. Never has there ever been this kind of like Canada trying to stand up to the US, aligning with Europe. I mean, there's really this. People are waking up and fighting for what's good, which
And that's
means
the
it's
Pluto.
shaky. Yeah.
The Pluto collective power goes to the people once the people understand they have the power, which means also all the structures, since we've gotten out of Pluto in Capricorn for the past maybe a couple 8 years, the whole movement has been to destroy all institutions, all. And COVID was clearly the deal, the real breaker there, because suddenly everything, the financial institution, the health, academic institution, relationships, everything had to be broken up.
Put a
So
lot of
new
things in
form.
perspective, right? It was the great leveler of
Right.
what was really important. Family, health, your loved ones, yourself, your well-being, your mental health, your emotional health. And I think that's really stuck with a lot of people and prepared them as we
We
as
hope,
we move.
huh?
I
We
know.
hope.
Madaling makalimutan, no? It's like easy
Well,
to forget then when you're thrown into
But
the thick of
because
things.
we're precisely in Pluto and in Aquarius now, the world around is not going to make them forget.
Yes.
No more, because it's going to be so radical that the shift will have to happen. It's happening actually. That we will begin to see in 2026, maybe 2027, something so big and radical to make us all come together and say, oh my gosh, we're actually humanity. We don't know where it might be coming from. It may be a celestial event, like the sunspots now are going wilder, and we've had the highest ever. Right,
Yeah.
we're on level 25, and when you look at graphs, it's really very high. So that affects our mental states.
Yes.
Because of the way the sun
Hits us.
Yeah, it hits our magnetic field. It affects our whole being because we're in the earth. Climate change affects us. But it's also man's consciousness altering the energies because you have anxiety. You know how it
Yes.
is when you're with somebody very stressed? You'll also get a bit
Yeah,
stressed,
absolutely.
right?
Co-regulation, right? Like you'll end up vibrating at, and the thing is, don't underestimate then the power of lower frequencies. They tend to
Yes.
pull you in like a vortex, right?
Exactly.
That's why it's really up to you to, one, vibrate always at the highest possible frequency, and two, remove yourself from the situation.
I want to give a quickie, like a little bit of a homework for them.
Okay, I like
How do you
this.
change your vibrations?
Yes.
Okay, I have a homework for people, and I say write it down in your diary. Every week for 2 months, because we're trying to have a new practice. For 2 months, you're going to have something on a physical level. So you say, okay, I'll commit to 3 times a week. I'll be exercising. I'll be maybe one Mondays, a meatless Monday. I'll do a fast physical. The next is astral. How will I check my space around? How's the feng shui? How's the air, the energy of the light? Is there like a blob of anger because I fought somebody here? Do I cleanse my space with candles and higher frequency incense such as sandalwood and frankincense? Like, you have frequencies also for incense, like
Yes.
rose is here, but you have sandalwood and frankincense. So you want to shift astrally your space. The next is your heart. How's the energy of my heart? You wake up every morning and just check. Am I happy in the level 1 to 9 or 1 to 10? And if you're not good there, you might want to do something like sing karaoke,
Yes.
do a humming, umming, open with your heart chakra, all these positions that are like cobra and all. So the heart must be manipulated in a way.
Yes.
Talk to a friend without a fear, and that's good heart space work.
Yeah.
The fourth one is mind. What are you reading that is making you disciplined and conscious about the mind? Meaning, if I get a book, I'll say I commit to this whole week one chapter and I'll really stay with that book. It should be a book that makes you aware of your soul. Not just a book on how to DIY, right?
Yeah.
Aware of your soul. So if you say, in a week, I'm going to do one of these, or maybe two of these, it focuses the mind in a clarity. Then you have spirit. What do you do on a daily basis to just watch your mind? Because the mind will continually come up and down. So spirit world is all about watching
Yeah.
everything as a witness. So if you can practice all this, in 2 months you have a whole real spiritual, a practical spiritual practice.
I love
If
that.
you miss one, you start again, huh? Because that means to say you were not disciplined enough. I always say 2 months because then the body, the whole psyche gets, it's like yoga, you have to keep doing a position how many times over for you to understand it, not just experience it.
It's a commitment.
Understand.
It's a commitment to self. I love it. I love the body, mind, spirit prescription. It's amazing.
It's a homework.
It's perfect for this podcast. I just want to share a personal experience, and this is really the power of frequency manipulation and how vibrations can really affect you. So for a couple of years ago, I got very sick, and this is what really started part of my journey, like accelerated it. I had this hacking cough that kept me up at night all day, every day, to the point that they thought I had TB. And even when I did all the tests, wala talaga. 3 months, 4 months, 6 months.
Excuse me, do you know what that means when you have issues here?
It's the heart. And
it's the lungs.
yes.
And you can't breathe.
So, wait.
You can't
and it
express.
was it was also very sticky cough. And
Okay.
when I got deeper into it, it was twofold. One, there was grief about my father's dementia. Two, a lot of my healer friends said, natamaan ako. Because I had some issues with like a sad friend breakup, but parang natamaan ako. And I couldn't heal it. I did Millennium Method, doctor, all of it. And the best advice they gave me was, please just find ways to raise your vibrations. And you know what cured it? You want to laugh? My sister-in-law, Audrey, called me up, and I had just come from a Millennium Method healing work with Bambi of Healing House. And I felt a little bit better, but then I was also looking to do a lymphatic drainage. I had a lymphatic drainage massage organized because I just felt like so heavy, like everything was always so heavy. And then my sister-in-law, Audrey, calls me, hey, I have extra tickets to a Backstreet Boys concert tonight. Do you want to come? And then I said, huh? I have lymphatic drainage massage later. She goes, ano ba yan? Come with us for, the concert. It's going to be fun. I was like, okay, fine. I had so much fun singing, dancing, being joyful, feeling young again, singing all these songs and then after that, gone. The cough was gone because I was able to bring my energy to a frequency of joy, not overthinking the sickness, not it was, and every day, so whenever I feel down, I really try and do something that brings joy.
That's right. And you move.
Yes.
You have to move.
Dancing.
Because
the
anything with the
singing.
body,
Absolutely.
you have to shake up so that the energies, whatever repressed energies there, begins to be shaken up.
Yeah.
And that's why you do this practice that I had mentioned, like a homework. You will move each and every part. So it's not just the physical. You move your astral space, you move the heart, you move your mind, and the spirit watches the dance. That's why it's a whole dance. That's why we do things like yoga and qigong, and you do physical things and you meditate. It's precisely that you move all the energies. Then you go to spaces that are higher in energy. Then you keep your space energetically raised, beautiful. You be with people and share time together, hold space together from a different level and consciousness. You know you will not get sick. People who are sick, and I say this because a lot of us will have a little bit of a problem here and there, and that's natural, right? But people who really get sick, you will find that the mass of energy has stayed in that space. So when you look at
Stagnant.
here, wherever each part of your body aches or has an issue or you have an illness, it's because there is a issue related to it on the spiritual level. As we know, frequency comes into energy, into physical form at its lower, like this
Absolutely.
lowest vibrational mass, right? So if we cannot begin to work from frequency up there, we cannot heal ourselves. Just as if we cannot begin to work from the inner, how can you manifest the outer?
Absolutely.
Right?
So just to before we wrap things up, how does this, because manifestation is such a big buzzword, right? Right now, and we talk about frequency manipulation, and guys, I know that the discussion of Age of Aquarius and all these things, it might be frightening, right?
It's exciting.
It's I
It's
love
so
it.
exciting.
It's like a roller coaster. Just lean in and scream along. But I think
Sing along, not
sing
scream.
along.
Sing along.
It's nice to scream also, to let out. But I think for those of you who are frightened there, I think what the takeaway here is, you have the power to shift your energy to be able to ride along with whatever energies are around. And in that context, we can also relate it to manifestation. So
Manifestation is once you're so solid and whole in your own space inside. The clarity, you've already worked the 5 levels, right? Then you have frequency going out clear. You might want to say, I want this, right? In this level, meaning I want that new shoe, right?
Yes.
It can be in this level, very physical, right? But you won't be able to manifest, for example, a love that you really want because your physicality is just a shoe. But when you work the astral, when you work the heart space, when you work that mind, and you clean up these areas, your energy that you project basically goes out unhampered and free. So when you want to manifest, you cannot manifest from a space that's cloudy, not knowing what you want, a space where it's confused and not clear, right? You have to be very clear. And that's why I say, go back to your map. Because you might want to be manifesting a husband, but I'm sorry to say, it says in your chart, it's not really there for you in this life, right?
Yeah.
There are other people, they really want to manifest so much travel, but what's telling you is that travel is with the mind, not physical. So there are things that you will see in your own chart that once you enter it and once you align whole with clarity, then you manifest.
Yeah.
Because you see, right now, the real mastery is you think, it happens. No effort. You just think, it happens. You sit, it comes. Now that's what it is. Not
You
like pushing and
attract.
pushing
Yeah.
so much to get what you want with all the effort, with the desire, with the pain.
My gosh, I
No,
was
it's
like
not
that.
gonna happen.
I was like that.
Not.
I was running myself ragged,
All of us.
chasing,
All of us.
chasing. Now I'll just sit.
Me also. Me,
I'll
I sit.
Please just come
I
to
just
me.
say, I think, actually, I don't even call it. I just say, I think this is what we need. I wait.
Yeah.
It's beautiful because then you know you're in harmony with the universe, you're in harmony with yourself, and okay, fine, I have a personality issue, you don't like me, it's okay, no problem, because that's where you are and that's where I am.
That's okay.
That's
Yeah.
fine, right? And you begin to create a new energy around you, and that's when service happens.
Yes.
Because then everything you touch, be it your business, be it whatever it is you touch, begins to have a magic because you create spirit as you go with it. You bring with you the lightness of the divine. You speak with a truth and a clarity that nothing can face you. And even if we argue from a technology, whatever, okay, fine. But really, at the core of all religions, all practices, all of this is once you know yourself and find that harmony inside you, the outside world will just reflect exactly what is there. Yeah.
Absolutely. Wow. I think that's a beautiful place to end this podcast. This was incredible. I usually do a last takeaway, but this podcast has so many takeaways, and you have homework. Don't forget to do your 2 month homework as prescribed by none other than Miss Jeannie herself. Jeannie, thank you so much. This was really special, and I can relate to so many things. And if we had more time, I feel like matagal pa the conversation will
can
keep
go
going
on
on and
and
on
on and on.
and so much. And you're an inspiration to me, and
Thank
I'm
you.
sure to many people out there. But I never thought my work could ever had synergy and purpose. It I because I'm a manifesting generator, so I had so many different things.
Oh, like
But
me.
they all come together.
Correct,
Once you
yes.
trust, eventually there's an aha moment, and it all comes together, and that's with purpose and with light and with love.
3 words: integrate, become whole, then move to develop outside.
I love it.
There.
Wonderful.
Homeworks.
Wonderful. Well, guys, thank you so much. This has been such a pleasure. We
Thank
must
you.
have you back again, many more topics to discuss. And I hope, maybe today, if you're really busy and hectic and you're feeling a little frazzled, again, the best way to connect with yourself is through breath. Just come back, because the breath is really the bridge between the physical and the spiritual, the physical and the etheric. So really just sit and take a moment and breathe and do a few rounds of slow, deep breaths. And don't forget the exhale. And the exhale, that's when the magic happens. So just connect with yourself and relish being with yourself, and that hopefully that will bring a little bit of clarity and bring you closer to trying to find your soul's destiny. This has been a pleasure. Thank you, Jeannie.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. And please don't forget to subscribe, to share this podcast, share your insights, put a comment below, share it on your socials, and of course, rate it if you love the episode and if you love the podcast. I'm Stephanie Zubiri, and this has been Soulful Feast, bite-sized information to nourish your body, mind, and spirit.